Hey everybody, Dane here from the Gudde company. Just wanted to make a quick video showing you how I fill cracks, voids, and the like with epoxy. I have a nice piece of mesquite here that I bought from a local sawmill. It has a very big crack in it. It's pretty unstable. I'm going to go ahead and stabilize it with some black epoxy, which is just clear epoxy tinted black with some trans tint dye. So I'll walk you through my process. If you have other tips or ways of doing it, I'd love to hear about it. This is just how I do it. Not saying that this is the 100% perfect way to do it, but it works for me, and I'll go ahead and show you how I do that. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.
Alright, just a quick close-up of the crack itself. Here is the whole slab, just a small slab, gonna make a nice side table. This is the crack in question. Goes all the way through. Mesquite's such a stable wood that I'm not necessarily worried about it splitting, continuing to go past this point here. I flattened this 8 months ago and it's still dead flat. So the concern is not the crack spreading, however, it's any potential breaking off of this part is what I want to avoid. So that's why I'm filling it.
So as you can see, I use West System epoxy. I got it from a local marine shop in town. I've got the 105 resin and the 205 fast hardener, and I put about 6 or 7 drops of the trans tint dye in there. This is one of 3 different pump fills of epoxy for this void for the first time around. I don't fill it completely full, especially a big void like this, because you get air bubbles. You run into problems if you do the whole thing at one time. It's not good. You wind up putting more work into it than that's actually needed. So I did 3 fills here, and then I let it sit overnight. So this is the 3rd and final for the day. So the next day, here I am with my block plane, just flattening out some high spots before I hit it with my Rotex 150 sander to get rid of all the excess epoxy before my 4th fill, which I believe is the last and final. So it only took 4 single pumps of epoxy to fill this void, which wasn't too bad. I thought it would actually take more. So here I'm prepping the final fill, just using that blue painter's tape to cover the end grain there, just so the last fill doesn't pour over and waste all my epoxy. I decided to go all the way up through the void itself because there were some air bubbles that from the previous night. As it dried, there were some air bubbles, but I'm just going to come back in here now and be really diligent with my butane torch and popping all the small bubbles. You're not going to see this, but I probably sat here for about 15-20 minutes, maybe even longer, popping bubbles. So next day, I'm going to come at it with the Rotex 150 here, and then just completely level it out and see how it finished out. Several ways to get rid of the epoxy. You can use a plane, any sort of block plane. I typically would run this through the drum sander, but for the sake of time, I just decided to use the Rotex here. Just to make sure I didn't create any divots or anything. I went over the whole top. Just had a wet, damp rag here, a damp shop towel, just inspecting it, and giving you kind of a final shot of what it would look like with the finish on there. So I'm just going over, and once it's all sanded up to 400, 500 grit, it'll look just like the wood. It'll be just a shiny. There are a couple of air bubbles in there, and you can't just get rid of those really, but that's how I do it. Completely filled.
Alright guys, that's how I fill a void with epoxy. I want to thank you for watching, taking the time out of your day. If you like what you saw, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.